What is going on, guys? Regular Traders here, bringing you another new weekly stock watch list. Before we get started, though, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. Without much more being said, though, looking at this week with earnings, there is not too much going on. It is beginning of quarter two, so usually the beginning of the quarter starts to be a little slow, but then after a few weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks, you start to get all the tech stocks that we look at normally in the WAP chat. With what we're looking at. So as far as this week, though, really a lot of the earnings are reporting on a lot of the companies that are reporting are banks, which are on Friday, and you have a few more banks next week as well. But besides that, you have airlines and banks pretty much coming up around the corner. But really the biggest thing to really keep in mind is what news is going to be surrounding the market. So that's going to be talked exclusively in the Stock Hours WAP chat. If you guys are interested, the link is in the description if you guys want to join. But not too much for companies reporting this week as far as the main stocks that we like to look at. So we're pretty good on that end. Going to NQ and ES here, if we go to the weekly chart here on ES first before on NQ, we can see that we actually have a weekly uptrend here that breaks around 5,000. And why that's interesting is because we're not only 100 points away. If I go to the 3 or 1 day, we can actually see that 50.70 was the low on Friday that we currently have made. And then going on the 3 or 1 day, if we look a little bit closer, you could see that that was a previous resistance that we had struggled with on ES. You could see that I had respected it in the past. So currently still looking at 50.70 as a current support. After 50.70, I'm looking at 50.40 here. If you can see on the 1 year or the 3 or 1 day, you can see that is the area where we have been wicking around a lot. After 50.40, I'm keeping an eye out for 5,000. I'm really broad with these areas because anything can happen over the weekend. Anything can gap up, anything can gap down. So it's my job and mission to really just keep things as simple as possible. So when Monday comes around, depending on where we're at, if my levels are still intact, then it's not too big of an issue. If the market decides just to crash again and just break all of my levels, then it's not a big deal. I didn't put too much work, so then I can just move on and then chart with where we're currently at sitting in the market. So pretty good on that end, and that's why I'm pretty broad with the areas that I'm looking at. Next up is NQ. The low we made on Friday on NQ is roughly 17,400. You can see that we actually currently have a flat bottom there. You could see if on the 3 or 1 day, we don't need to go to the weekly, but on the 3 or 1 day, we see that we currently have around almost a flat bottom here at 17,400, maybe 17,300, but I'm mostly looking at 17,400 because that is an area where we have been struggling to close below. So 17,400 would be the first support. After that is 17,200 with this sort of flat bottom here. You can see that's an area of 0.2 where we have been struggling to close below. So 17,200 would be the next area that I'm looking at. After that would be 17,000. Now, as far as the main stocks, which I'm sure you guys are all waiting for, is if I go to the 3 or 1 day or even the daily chart here, we could see that the low that we made, the last low that we made before 500 on Friday, was on September 11th of last year, and the low here was 495.60. The low on Friday we made was around 494.20, 494.20 or 40 cents, somewhere in that ballpark. But the thing to keep in mind is we currently have a flat bottom around that point, so I'd be looking for a continuation at 495 down with room to 490 on that. Again, being really broad with my areas because there's no reason to go super in-depth with the charting just because of where anything can happen in the market. Next thing on my watch list is NVIDIA. If I go to NVIDIA here, I would be looking at the 90 level just as an overall level in general. I know it looks a little bit choppy, but with how NVIDIA has been moving without the market at points, this could be something that we can all keep an eye out for. Now, I know a lot of you in the comments or maybe in your own mind, you're probably wondering why wouldn't you look at 92 with the current age it's forming. Now, I do like it. Now, the only thing to keep in mind is that we closed so close to that low that we made on Friday that this could just gap down. So there's no point in me looking at it. And the thing with NVIDIA is it's a stock that if there's no setups behind it, we like to look at any sort of kind of market sentiment or weakness sentiment, strong sentiment behind the stock. In this instance, we would want to look at some sort of weak sentiment on NVIDIA. So with that being said, I am interested at 92. It just depends where the market's sitting at on Monday morning. So 92, depending on where the market's at, real level for me wouldn't be until 90 though on NVIDIA. Last but not least is Tesla. Now Tesla obviously has been holding up really well compared to the market. Now, that doesn't disregard that it has been selling off with the market to some extent because, with the market selling off, everything's going to sell off to some extent, right? Nothing's just going to stay green and just hold on for dear life. This instance, from the lows we made from the last sell-off from a couple weeks back was 210. Compared to what the market's sitting at overall in general right now, Tesla's currently at 235. Now, that doesn't say that you should buy weak calls out on Tesla because it's holding up the best and it hasn't reached those lows. So no, it's just maybe the selling pressure hasn't hit Tesla yet. Maybe it's just holding up better. Who knows, right? That's not our job as retail scalpers, at least in stock hours. That's what we teach. It's not our job to worry about the future on these stocks. It's to worry about what's currently setting up in front of us and how to take advantage of it. So in this instance, I would be looking at this 230 level on Tesla. 230, 229 would be the safer entry just because that is the area we're kind of wicking off of. 230 would be a little bit more risky because that's a point where we are struggling to close below. So if you do take it at 230, you need to take it with caution and just be ready in case if there is a bounce in the market or if Tesla happens to pick up any sort of strong sentiment or momentum. This could bounce off of 230 or even 229 pretty aggressively. So you just want to be really careful about that. But Tesla, I would be looking at this at 230 and 229 for an entry to the downside on this one. So pretty short on the watch list though, guys. I know I'm keeping it pretty short just because there isn't too much on the watch list. And with this kind of sell-off with where the market's currently sitting at, I want to be really careful with looking at what stocks to pick. So with that much more being said, though, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate it. And so with stock hours, and with that much more being said, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a good week. Peace out.